Today I have Coach Sam Fisher from Throw to Win. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here.
So, Coach Fisher and I, we're going to talk a little bit about his experience starting off as a quarterbacks coach in high school, then progressing to becoming a quarterback specific trainer. So, Coach, can you just share with the audience a little bit about your background starting in college as a actually baseball player and then getting into high school coaching eventually?
Yeah, my journey is a little different than most. I played football all my life, starting, back in fifth grade and um, all the way through high school, and then I ended up coming out to LA to play baseball um, at Citrus Community College, and then I transferred back to Fresno, where I'm from, to play another year of baseball, and that was fantastic. I think hindsight, just to have that background as a baseball player, especially with the way the throwing mechanics and the style and philosophy of the quarterback game now, how it translates. So that was my journey up until I got back into coaching when I moved to LA back in 2007, and that was I came out to LA to act originally, to be an actor and get into the industry, and pivoted back into my sports love, and was the quarterback coach at Notre Dame High School for 3 years out here in Sherman Oaks. And it kind of became in its organic, natural way. I didn't think I'd be a quarterback trainer for a living, and my occupation certainly wasn't the plan to be a quarterback trainer, but I realized I had a pretty good eye for throwing mechanics and was able to really help kids level up and work from the ground up, and get their mechanical philosophy locked in, and get consistent. So that was before social media was as big as it is now, where everybody with a phone can be a coach. It was I think I got in on the ground floor right before that, and that was I think fortunate. But yeah, it's been, shoot, 7 8 years of training full time, and that's 3 kids later, 10 years of marriage later. That's what I do.
Very cool. So, over the course of that time, what's been your biggest learning experience transitioning from being like within a program to doing it on your own?
I mean, I think the way I describe my approach is I'm like the uncle that gives the kid back to the parents, which is, for me, fits fairly well. I certainly have my own flair, and I'm not for everybody, but feel I'm fair, and I train guys hard, and I train them. Um, I push these guys, and I think that that's kind of my MO out here. And so for me, having my own style, my own world, kind of my own ecosystem that I'm able to have it with my guys in a private or group setting, works, and it translates. So I love what I do. I'm thankful, and as much as I love being a coach on Friday nights or Saturdays, I think for the time being, I'm in a good place having my own private sector.
Very cool. So yeah, obviously a bit of like a unique journey that you've had. Um, what advice would you give maybe a quarterbacks coach who is looking to do something like you've done, or even just a quarterbacks coach in general, since you obviously do have coaching experience being in a normal program?
I would say really, really be consistent about like the evolution of the game, and understand that it's changing drastically, and more every year. It's become evident that there's more than one way to skin a cat as a quarterback, and as just a thrower of a ball in general. Um, there's so much information out there; it can be overwhelming of what you believe, and trying to maybe add some new approaches or philosophies with other coaches. There's some amazing coaches out there that I've learned so much from, but um, that would be nothing in compared to getting the leader out of a kid, and that's not an easy thing to do because a kid's leadership and dog, I feel, should be there before you actually get hands on them. I think that's a almost a nature versus nurture thing, not necessarily 100%, but um, understanding that without the desire to win, the desire to sacrifice your social life or your whatever your status is, and sacrificing that to really be a successful player and a successful quarterback. It's a very it's a very hard position to be successful in. Everybody wants to be successful, but the more that you are in this position in this game, the door gets very narrow as you get higher. And those are the guys that I feel are my favorite guys to be around. Not necessarily the biggest or the fastest or even the most offers or whatever, but it's the guys that are just dialed in, they have blinders on and they are focused to work. So as a young coach, that's what I'm preaching. That's what I would be pushing to those guys. Like, hey, find those guys, make that the world that you create for these guys, and don't accept anything less.
Yeah. So what do you think intangible wise is important other than, obviously just having like that killer mentality really? What else is important for a quarterback in your opinion?
Think that you need to be obsessed with the details. I think that you need to be obsessed with being perfect, and knowing that you're always going to fall short, but chasing that obsession, almost to an unhealthy point. When you talk about the greats, there was an obsession. There was an obsession to their work, to their details, to their lifestyle, and that is that is not a coincidence. So I think that I always have my guys repeat after me, obsessed with the details. The details can make you great or they can make a fool out of you. And,
Mhm.
and for me, it's everything because like I said, every guy that I see these days is really starting to look fundamentally put together. Now it's going to be the nuances, the little bitty things that are going to separate you.
Yeah. And I saw you had a quote from Jerry Rice on your page, on your website. So obviously, like you were saying, the greats are the ones who are willing to sacrifice, like we were talking about earlier, like maybe their social life a little bit,
Mhm.
maybe some other things that they would want to do. Um, so can you just talk a little bit more about that obsession and what are some actionable things that high school players or even younger kids should be doing now to get recruited or to get to that next level?
Mm. It's a tough road to navigate through these days because of the distractions that these kids are naturally dealing with social media. It's you're almost a you're almost considered a weirdo if you don't have social media or if you're not involved with your Twitter or Snapchat or whatever these kids are doing, TikTok. I think it's easier said than done, but eliminate the distractions. Find a way to get into a get into a situation where you are digesting information instead of just distracting yourself with, and this is something I got to preach to myself. Like, how often do I just glaze and let 30 minutes of just Twitter feed or information go by that it's not making me stimulating. I'm not learning. I'm not actually retaining things. I'm just almost, it's an escapism. And I think that we are in a culture of escapism without even realizing it. And we're trying to just kind of medicate because we are addicted to, whether it's getting likes or just information that's not needed. Like, be a kid that find a way to be disciplined and intentional about what you're trying to accomplish. The information, whether you're just hey, I'm just going to focus on 1 hour of cover four. I'm going to go into a room and I'm just going to learn about cover four for an hour. And then the next day, I'm just going to work on what's an over front, what's an under front, maybe protections. Like, think you have to have a very focused, detailed intention, or else you're going to get lost. And that's something I think like the guys that I feel are separate themselves, the young guys have that attention and that detail where it's like, all right, I'm going to attack something because I have a plan.
Yeah. And I think that's really the biggest thing you can do if you want to be successful in anything is have a plan going into it. Like if you if you try to attack it and say, all right, I want to be the best quarterback possible, but you're trying to do 10 million different things at the same time, you're never going to actually get it done. And that's why, like you were saying, it's important to chunk, really chunk down specific things that you need to work on, maybe on a daily or a weekly basis, and just focus. And I think from the most successful players and quarterbacks I've seen, those are the guys that can really focus are the ones that, like we were saying, get to that next level and stand out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mix of talent and then the work and then there's levels to work because you can work hard, but you it doesn't necessarily mean that you're working smart.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's just a very nuanced way of operating, and but that's the QB position, man. Like I've got players that all like love. My guy from Kansas is playing in about an hour and a half against Illinois, Jalen Daniels, and this is his fourth year, and he's, I think he should be a Sunday guy at the end of this year. And his journey is completely different opposed to I got another kid playing against Georgia as a true freshman tomorrow named Caden Samanza. He plays for Ball State, and he's going into the Lions Den against the national champs as a true freshman. He got the nod.
Okay.
And the reason I bring those two guys up is that they are both different players, but they both have the same type of like they are focused. They have plans. They've had a plan. I've known them since they were, 14, 15 years old. And as they've matured, they've obviously gotten, more disciplined, but there hasn't been a lot of distraction with their journey. And it's just exciting to see guys that have put it in, the fruit comes out, and it's, that's the for me, that's the payoff. That's, I wish I could be at in Lawrence, Kansas right now, and then I wish I could be in Athens tomorrow to watch Caden, and it goes on and on. I'm blessed to see 8 or 9 guys every Saturday with guys that I've trained over the years play, and it's just been overwhelmingly humble and just so fun to see these guys live out the work that they put in.
Yeah. So what do you tell and was it Caden who's going
Yeah.
to play against Jordan or Georgia? So what do you tell a guy like that who's getting thrown into the lines then like right out of the bat?
He's so confident and fired up that I don't I don't think I need to pep talk him. I think I keep it very simple. I just, hey, this is a sport that you've been playing your whole life. No matter who you're playing, it's still football. And throw the ball to an open guy. You know,
Yeah.
talk about you could get details like stay away from that dude. Don't, watch this guy when you see this front. But at the end of the day, like go play ball, man, and trust that your preparation. You're not, sometimes you're just gonna get out, man, dude. I mean, there's a reason that there's body types are real, and Ball State, no disrespect to Ball State, they don't have the same bodies that Georgia has, and he just needs to do his job, get the ball out of his hand early, and just I think for him taking it all in, and I know he will because he's in the moment type of a guy because he's just always been that guy, and taking it in and understanding this is going to pay dividends for him in his career, because if he can, stay locked in Athens as a true freshman against a national champion, nothing's going to phase him.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I mean, that's all really, really good stuff. As we're kind of wrapping up here, Coach, what else would you like to share with the audience, advice wise or just in general?
Hmm. I would, I think that these kids just need to be patient. Think that we are so we're just wired right now to want things immediately. And I don't think that's healthy for anything. Not that there's nothing wrong with getting a result, but if you don't get the result the moment you want it, what's your response to that? And I'm starting to see, as a culture, uh, I don't like the response that I'm seeing. It's usually, well, I'm going to go see if the grass is greener over here. And I'm not saying that you can't make a decision, a business decision, but I also believe that sometimes just working through something and staying put, there's good things that happen from there too. And not just like as a football sense, but just in life. It's a process, man. And that you hear, and I know these kids hear it every day, trust the process, but till you're actually in the process and you go from being the guy to no one cares who you are because you're down to number 3 or 4, that's really what the process is.
Yeah,
That's what these coaches are talking about. And when you're not told that you're the dude, when you've been told the dude your whole life, who are you? What are you really about? And at some point, everybody's going to go through that. I don't care who you are. We're all going to get humbled. If you play any sport long enough, you're going to get humbled. If you live long enough, you're going to get humbled. And I say, if you can learn that as soon as possible, you're going to be so much better for it.
gotcha. Thank you for sharing that. So that's all I have today for you, Coach. Really appreciate you sharing, and best of luck to everybody. This obviously tonight. Today's a Friday, and this coming weekend.